Welcome back to Faces and Places across the United States. This week, Sandra is calling August in Florida. Welcome back, Sandra.
Thank you, Melissa. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Faces and Places across the United States. My name is Sandra, and I'll be your host today. Today, I'll be talking to our guest, August. Hi, August.
Hello.
Welcome to our chat. It's wonderful to have you here with us today in our American English at State Facebook page. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sandra, for that warm welcome. And hello to all the many followers and participants around the world in this web chat.
We are so delighted that you have joined us this morning or afternoon or evening. Let's ask our audience before we begin, where are they joining us from today? Please let us know in the comments box. August, thanks again for being here. Why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and where are you now?
Sure. Shotways, I was born in California and I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I have lived in four very different states in the US. I'm a career changer. I'm an international English teacher and educator, but this wasn't my original profession. This past year, I left Kazakhstan and have been living now in Florida with my mom. What I'm doing now in Florida is I'm a US Department of State virtual English language fellow for Nur-Sultan, Kazakhstan. Before this, I was an international English teacher for Nazarbayev Intellectual Schools in Kokshetau, Kazakhstan.
So now you live in Florida. Tell us a little bit about the weather there today. And let's talk a little bit about Florida's nickname. Do you know what it is and why it's called that?
Yeah, so the weather in Florida, usually it's beautiful during the winter time. Let's say right now outside it feels like about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which in Celsius it's about a plus 18, 19 degrees Celsius right now. And Florida's nickname, it's a very nice nickname, the Sunshine State. And this is because of all the sunshine we receive year round. The nickname, it also helps to support the tourism industry's mission in the state. It just sounds great, right? Especially during the winter time, sunshine.
Yeah, so before we begin with our questions today, I want to tell you a little bit about where people are watching us from today. We have Abdul saying hello from Indonesia. We have Huang Bao saying hello from Vietnam. We have Nicoleta saying hello from Romania. We have Christina saying hello from Brazil. David saying hello from Mexico. We have Monia saying hello from Tunisia. Yolanda saying hello from Bolivia. We have Ahmed saying hello from Tripoli. We also have Hipiat saying hello from Kyrgyzstan, Chaito Diaz from Mexico, and also Min Min saying hello from Burma. So this is just to name a few of the many different places people are watching us today. And also, we had some comments and questions that our audience has submitted. We have Indra saying, it's really good to be here. It will be helpful to hear from you. We have Hannah Lady saying, it will be a very interesting conversation. I want to hear what August has to say about living around the United States. We also have Jads saying, I'm excited about this, something that I need to consider living in different places. We also have Bold on Duno saying, it sounds great. We have Rihanna Muhammad saying beautiful things about the United States and also that this is a wonderful opportunity to discover America. We have Arellano saying, hi, August, where are you from? What did you do? What is Florida known for? So we'll get to those questions soon. And we have Lupita saying, where were you born and what places have you lived in? And what do you like the most about them? So let's get started, August. Today, we want to talk about your life in the United States and a little bit about your career. Many people think that in America, people tend to stay in one place, but you have lived in many different places. What do you consider to be home?
Well, I'm a firm believer in home is where you hang your hat, or, in a more personal way, maybe to say it is, home is where your heart is. What I mean by this is, becoming invested in a community, say through like a positive thought process, being open and willing to embrace new places and experiences, honestly, anywhere can be my home. And I have had quite a few of those during the past 15 years in the US and abroad.
Yes, and we have a few questions for you. So let's get started with tell me a little bit about San Francisco. You said you were born there. So tell us a little bit about being in California.
Yeah, so that ways, you know, California for San Francisco, I think the first thing that comes to most people's minds is, they think of tech and more tech and Silicon Valley giants such as like Google and Apple and Facebook, and there's other obvious things too, like, very strong Asian influence, in the community. But, some lesser known things, about the communities as well is like the strong Pacific Islander communities. That's something that, in the different places I've lived, I didn't get to experience some of that. And there's these great cultural centers, places like Chinatown, and of course the iconic images such as like the Golden Gate Bridge, and the hills. Wow, I mean, the hills, you definitely recognize the hills. You're gonna see them, you're gonna experience them. They're big, they're steep, they're everywhere. If you like to bike ride or walk, you're gonna get a good workout. Okay. And there's some beautiful things too, like in the northern part of the San Francisco Bay Area, wine country, real nice place. And also, there's some notorious stuff that's known for, such as like earthquakes, you know.
That's true too. Yes, and nice weather for most of the year, so it's always good. So then you currently are in you moved to Tampa, but you currently are in Tampa, Florida.
Mm.
So tell us a little bit about it. It's very different, probably not a lot of mountains in Tampa.
Yeah, so, definitely in Tampa, where, I mean, when I first came into Florida, the first thing you kind of notice and you see around, especially around here, like in Tampa, is water everywhere. So you're going to start to experience that. And for a lot of people, that's something that they don't experience regularly in their life, and there was just this abundance of new wildlife. There was just some things were just really exotic, so many different types of animals and bird life, really incredible things that I was seeing for the first time. And of course, like in Tampa and other parts of Florida, there's of course a lot of tourists, people from all around the world, but also, there's a lot of people that are temporary residents, here like in Tampa and Florida. And we have a nickname for that. We call them snowbirds. Okay. And other things, about Tampa, you'll notice is the weather. It's obviously quite tropical. Potentially you might come across hurricanes. I've experienced those. And some other kind of things that left me kind of in awe were, a different type of sky and cloud formations, kind of hard to describe somewhat. I mean, it's kind of think seeing is believing, but, the formation of the clouds was just something kind of, it just left me kind of in awe, something of beauty, this wonder, that was always above me. And of course, there's like the strong influences, say, from, the Caribbean islands and also from South America. It makes everything very vibrant and it's just really lovely.
Wow, that sounds beautiful.
Mhm.
And then you move, you have lived in Memphis, completely different. So tell me a little bit about living in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, wow, what a great place, to live. I mean, if you're gonna talk about Memphis, I gotta go to right away to like what I really, really liked about Memphis, and I gotta go right to the food and barbecue. If you've been to Memphis, you know what I'm talking about. But the barbecue and the side dishes, you can kind of describe it as like Southern comfort food. Now, there's different states in the U.S. and a lot of different states, they have their claim to how they make barbecue and they make it like in a different way. But typically like in Memphis, now I'm not a barbecue expert. I definitely wasn't eating expert, but not maybe the cooking expert. But it was done with like a dry rub and less kind of vinegar taste and a little bit more sweet, less tangy. So that's one of the first things I think about with Memphis. But other things, like I feel like it's like the soul of American music. Maybe our followers around the world, have heard and know of Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, has his place, his mansion, his museum, everything there. Graceland is in Memphis. Memphis has strong faith, emphasis on family, and maybe a little bit more casual than some other places I've been in, but I feel like it's more personal, like it's very friendly. And also, they have the Martin Luther King Jr. Museum. And this is significant right now. We're in the month of February. And, in the United States, we're celebrating Black History Month in February. And, the museum's a real nice place historically to provide you with more information, understand, be inspired. Now, Memphis does have kind of a very strong significance, in this because, unfortunately, this was where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., was assassinated in Memphis. But during the month of February, there's a strong, this celebration, of the accomplishments, the many significant contributions from the African American community into our society and worldwide as well too. So, it's a very special time in Memphis right now.
What a great place to be, right? With a combination of historical places, good food, and music. That just sounds perfect. If you're just joining us, we are talking to August, who is currently in Tampa, Florida, and who is talking to us about living across the United States in many different places. So the other place that you had lived in is completely different from what you have described so far, and that is Chicago, Illinois. So tell me a little bit about living in such a big city.
Yeah, so, Chicago, definitely big city, like you said, a nice mixture of urban big city and suburbs. But, I gotta say, the first thing, I gotta really mention about Chicago, honestly, before going to Chicago, it was maybe something that I didn't really notice or kind of really pay attention to, in other cities and places I've been to. But the architecture is just something absolutely phenomenal in Chicago. And it's something maybe a lot of people don't necessarily think about, if it's not a hobby of yours, studying architecture. I took a boat tour around the Chicago River, around the center part of the town. And, and the guide told us about the design, the significance of the buildings, the people involved, the impact on society, and worldwide it would have too, about the varying different types of designs and architecture. But what really makes the architecture special in Chicago versus, because a lot of wonderful cities around the world have these very modern cityscapes and skyscrapers, buildings going straight to the sky. But Chicago has a real nice collection of some of the original skyscrapers from over 100 years ago. And they are absolutely just marvelous to see the progression and how things have changed in a cityscape. And other things about Chicago that, you would notice, of course, if you came from like a tropical place, like I did, of course, the weather, much colder winter time, snow. But Chicago has this huge, beautiful lakefront. All along the city is the Great Lake Michigan, and it's huge. And it goes from north to south all along the city. And there's this very vibrant, great lifestyle with so many events and festivals and things like that on the lakefront, and the many parks and plazas that they have, the marinas, the piers. It just makes you want to just get outside and like enjoy life, so it's really just such a marvelous thing. Now, something that has some personal significance to me would be that the strong Polish community in Chicago. Okay, so I think outside of Poland, Chicago probably may have the largest and strongest community. And this is significant to me because of my ancestry, my great grandparents coming from Poland. I've always wanted to explore this and get to know more about, about my ancestors and where they came from. I was exposed to language, culture, entertainment, performances. I mean, it was just such a great, rewarding, enriching experience. And the last thing I got to mention about Chicago, and if you go to Chicago, I already mentioned about food in Memphis. In Chicago, you got to talk about deep dish pizza. I know, okay, all around the world is what? 1,000 different ways people like their pizza, but you got to try deep dish. I just got to suggest, though, don't eat too much of it, okay? But it's good, all right? It may be hard.
I know. I was going to ask you about this because I saw the picture and I thought, oh, wow, that looks really delicious, but
Yeah.
probably not eat a lot of it. So you mentioned that there are some challenges about moving to many different places. So can you tell us a little bit about what has been the most challenging part of adapting to new places for you?
Yeah, and that's a real great question. As someone that's lived in many different places, such distinct places in the US. And for me, one of the biggest challenges was weather. Okay. I gotta say, weather really does shape communities and ways of life. They're built around the seasons and the cycles. So growing up in the San Francisco Peninsula, weather can be described as, mild and maybe a little on the dry side, in some parts. It never got too hot for too long, nor did it get too cold for too long. And, there's a lot of fog, and for those of you, our followers that are from like, extreme weather climates, whether you're coming from, you know, a country that's tropical or has very harsh winters, probably San Francisco would be a welcomed relief, but I gotta say though, when I moved to Florida, my weather world was just rocked. I mean, just, it was hard to just comprehend, going from such a mild place to an extreme type of weather, and for all of our followers, that, like I said, are in tropical environments, you know what I'm talking about, like the constant heat, humidity, strong sun, you go to the shade and there's no relief. And the rain can be kind of monstrous at times, plus hurricanes and tropical storms is a new experience for me. And then if you flip all that around, and then in Chicago, where it's has extremely cold winters and can have heavy, and constant snow. I got this little story that I kind of want to share with everybody. It's kind of funny. My first week there in Chicago, I remember it was like the snowiest day in November. My car was just buried under snow, and me, I mean, I came from Florida, it's tropical, and here's Chicago, harsh winter, already in November, and I had no shovel, I had no gloves, I had no snowshoes, I had none of this yet. Talk about, not being prepared, you know, advice right there for all those that want to travel and go new places, really was an eye-opening moment for me. Now, on the bright side for weather, Chicago was the first time in my life, where I could experience 4 distinct seasons, though. And Memphis, of course, maybe somewhere in between all three of these places. So honestly, I'm not sure which one was better, because I basically traded a summertime sweat cloth in Florida, for a wintertime snow shovel in Chicago. Of course, I had to constantly change my wardrobe. I, I can never keep, any piece of clothing, it seemed like, for more than a few years, with these extreme changes, so that was such a challenge.
Yeah, it looks like you probably had to dig out your car from the
Yeah.
snow
I had to wait a
in
couple
those
of days,
pictures.
yeah, I had to wait a couple of days to get to that point. So, this was after it started to melt quite a bit and stuff. But then, I'm using hands and other household items to, clean the car. So
Yeah.
I know now, my time in Kazakhstan, I was ready, for the winter challenge.
Yeah, definitely. So we are almost at the end of our episode, but I want to ask you one more question before we go. And it's about being what we call a career switcher. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about what you did before you became a teacher.
Yeah, great. Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that, Sandra. So, a career changer, first off, is someone who changes their workplace, and profession completely. It's more than just a promotion, or like a new job or a new company. And typically the two, different careers have nothing in common. I was a bank manager and then I became a teacher. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's like, wow. And I got started by creating, a new public ESL program at the Memphis Public Library, while I was a bank manager. I taught every Sunday afternoon for almost a year, and then, I was able to blend my previous career as a bank professional to teaching by, incorporating and focusing on teaching business English to like Japanese expats and also business courses to international students in Chicago, and now here I am, I have transitioned becoming, an international English teacher and educator. I got to say though, this change involved dedication, commitment, and also something really key, everybody, all our followers listening, a good vision board. Call it a dream board, call it a goal board. You need a vision board, okay? You can Google, you can find, how you can design it. And of course, plenty of volunteering, in social programs and education programs. Get out, be proactive, through volunteerism.
Well, we are glad that you have become a teacher. I know we need excellent teachers, so thank you very much.
Mhm.
Well, I think this is the end of our time. We have gone a little bit over time, but I think it's been a really fun conversation, and our audience has gotten a lot of information about not just one state, but 4 different states in the United States. So thank you so much, August, for sharing your story with us today. We also like to thank our audience for such a lively engagement and participation today. We hope you continue to engage with us and share your ideas through social media. Don't forget to check out our resources to help you practice your English. You can check out our Facebook page, YouTube channel, and our website, americanenglish.state.gov. Thanks again, August. We are very glad that you joined us today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, Sandra. And thank you to all the many followers here for us and join us all around the world. I wish everybody a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again in a couple of weeks for our next session of Faces and Places across the United States. We encourage you to continue to engage with our community virtually like you have done today. Bye everyone, and thanks for watching.
Goodbye.